Welcome to the Basketball Sessions Podcast, a podcast that talks about the NBA and everything basketball. Now, this is episode 5 of the podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the Gilas Pilipinas program. First up, we got the Gilas women's team and the men's team as well. And of course, a little NBA offseason and free agency updates. So sit back and relax, take a listen, because basketball is in session. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Basketball Sessions podcast episode brought to you by the KGE Network. My name is Klein, and again, thanks to everyone, or thank you to everyone who continues to support and have subscribed to the podcast. And if you haven't, please do subscribe. Just go to the YouTube channel. That's www.youtube.com/@basketball sessions podcast, and just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified when we have a new episode or when we come out with a new episode of the podcast, so you'll be notified right away. Now, you can also follow us and like the page in Facebook. That's www.facebook.com/basketball sessions pod for the page. Now, in this episode, we're going to be talking about, as mentioned at the start, this is Gilas Pilipinas episode dedicated for that. And then, syempre, meron pa rin tayong NBA news, definitely, because NBA free agency is gonna start or gonna begin with that. So, but first, we'll begin the session with some Gilas news. All right. So for the first up on the Gilas Pilipinas news, ladies first, of course. So we're gonna talk about the Gilas Pilipinas women's team, and we want to congratulate the team in advancing to the playoff round of the FIBA Asia Women's Cup this year, 2023, and the team was led by the magnificent or terrific trio of players, Vanessa De Jesus, Jack Animam, and Afril Bernardino, led the way for Gilas women in defeating Chinese Taipei in their last game. Yesterday, Vanessa De Jesus had 25 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Afril Bernardino, for her part, had a double-double of 18 points and 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals as well. But Jack Animam led the way and was a force down low. She had 16 points, 15 rebounds, and she was perfect from the field, shooting 8 out of 8. For the game, and again, they do advance to the playoff game, and they'll be playing New Zealand for a semis spot. And it's not just a semis spot for that tournament; it's also an Olympic spot as well for grabs for the 2024 Paris Games, because top 4 teams of the tournament do get a ticket to play in Paris for the Olympic Games. So that's very big win for them yesterday. Very emotional win for them as well, because this is the very first win of the Gilas women in the group phase of the tournament since being able to climb up or being able to being promoted to the Division A back in 2015 when they were promoted to the first division of the women's side of the FIBA basketball games, and it's a very emotional win for them. Very important win for them as well, especially for Jack Animam. She was interviewed, and she did say na it was emotional as this it was the game no na nakabalik siya because she was coming off of an ACL injury that she suffered while she was playing or while she was in Lithuania, no, because she was playing overseas and she wasn't able to join the last time that they played in the FIBA Asia tournament. Plus, yun nga, no, they were coming off a silver medal finish sa SEA Games. So, very emotional win and a very inspirational win as well. Very important win for the Gilas women, not just in the tournament, but definitely a big inspiration for future women's players, no, up and coming players in the Philippines. As we all know, it seems like this would be like a jumping spot or ito na yung pinaka start, no, ng jump start ng women's basketball tournament or women's game being much more recognized in the Philippines, and that the game, the women's game is rising as well, as Jack described it. So definitely this is an important win for them. And an inspirational win for the Philippines as well, no? Especially yun nga that the Philippines or the country is gonna be hosting the World Cup come August. They wanna, you know, just give back to the country or to the team, and congratulations to the team and good luck tomorrow, because tomorrow is gonna be their game against New Zealand. Hopefully they win so that we get a spot in that Olympic tournament for the women's side. Then natin, no? Speaking of which, now on to the men's national team, the men's side, the Gilas Pilipinas team. They're right now currently on their European training camp, and they just finished their games in Estonia. They started their trip in Estonia. They played two tune-up games there. They played the Estonian national team and Finland as well for those two games. But unfortunately, no, Gilas lost those two games. No, they fall short of their comeback from those two games. No, and well, it is to be expected, of course, as the team is just starting out. No, this is just a build up of the team, as this is just the beginning of the training camp for the Las Pilipinas team. Now, next up in their schedule, they would be going to, or they'll be flying to Lithuania for, as Short mentioned, four more games. They'll be playing four more games there for tune-ups, and I think they'll be playing one of the teams, or one of the games that they'll have is against the under 21 team of Lithuania, their national team under 21. So that's going to be a tough game for them as well. Definitely, Lithuania is parang Pilipinas kasi ang Lithuania, no, na they're very passionate about the game of basketball as well. So the game of basketball is kind of like second religion to them as well, same as with the Philippines. So you know that it's always tough out when you play against a Lithuanian team, and these guys, hopefully they win at least, no, with these games. Even though, or even if they don't win, I think ang pinaka best scenario that we can hope for is that they get to bond and get to be more cohesive, get to know the system well, and finally, sana maayos na yung system so that the team would know. No, now I know a lot of people have agam-agam, worry that the system's not fit, and that these players that they brought to the European training camp is not the team that will be playing. No, we don't know for sure if these are the final 12. No, 13 players yung nakapunta dun sa European trip, and we still have a couple of players. No, some players that are still injured, recovering from their injuries, various injuries. No. That haven't joined. Plus, yun nga si Jordan Clarkson, one of our um, naturalized players, expected to be the naturalized player for Team Philippines come the World Cup. No, hasn't joined, and he is still in the States. And there have been rumors na baka talagang Jordan Clarkson wouldn't be able to join the team. No, he is willing to play for Gilas, but the problem is he has a contract situation right now in the NBA that hasn't been resolved yet. We'll get to that later, no? With our free agency news, or probably with the next podcasts episodes, or podcast episodes that we have. Um, and yeah, there's a problem still, or he hasn't figured out yet with regards to his contract in the NBA. And so he hasn't joined the team yet. Plus, Kai Soto as well is not yet with the team. No, our young big is on his own NBA journey. He's about to play in the summer league, or in the NBA summer league with Orlando. As current news for him naman, he's on his way to Orlando for medicals before he joins the team in practice, no, for their NBA Summer League team. So a lot of players are not with the team yet in this European training camp, and a lot of people are saying na if you're not going to be playing these guys, no, these teams, or if you're not going to be selecting them, then why bring them up, or why bring them along with this trip, no? Na parang ang nangyari kasi magiging sayang lang, no, kapag ka itong mga players na to yung hindi mo inaman isasama, pero sinama mo pa, or hindi mo pipiliin, I mean, no, dun sa World Cup team, pero sinama mo pa rin naman. Tapos yung ibang players na hindi naman kasama dyan would be the ones that you would be selecting for the team come World Cup. So a lot of pundits, no, a lot of press, people, yan yung mga sinasabi for them. Pero kasi the thing is that this European trip, it's not just for yung mga players lang na kailangan yung pinili mo na, no? Dapat yung kasama mo, no? That's the thing, no? Kaya nga tayo meron itong training camp. I think it's to build, of course, yung chemistry, ng cohesiveness of the team, plus of course yung learning ng system that they'll be playing, no? And they're looking into players nga na sinama sa pool, na kasama dito sa 20-man pool natin, so that yung mga players na yun, if they do fit the system, no, the team would definitely see kung talaga bang fit sila dito sa system natin, and again, para nga ma-include, no, para maisama sila dito sa ating World Cup team. Now, marami talagang bashers ang Gilas because Filipino basketball fans are very passionate and very knowledgeable, no? So you would always get feedback na yun nga, dapat hindi na si Chot ang ginawang coach natin, that a lot of people are clamoring for this and that, or bakit hindi sinama si ganito, bakit yan yung sinama na player. You know, ever since naman, no, with regards a little background lang din sa Gilas program natin, no? Or even before the Gilas program, the problem with Philippine basketball, as always, and as a country, ang number one problem kasi natin is politics, you know? Even with basketball, there's always politics involved, or there's also politics involved in that. Because before the Gilas program was created or was formed, basketball in the Philippines tend to emulate, no? Laging ginagaya or they try to emulate the system of the NBA kasi. It's always been like that. Wherein, ang NBA kasi, whenever there's a particular tournament, for example, Olympics or ito nga, World Championships, they just start to build up their team, no? A month or 2 months before, tapos yan yung training camp nila. They start with that. And then they start the tournament or play the tournament, no? With their team. Ganyan din yung naging forma kasi natin eh. Or ganyan din yung ginagaya natin na sistema way back, no? Before the Gilas program was started. Kumbaga, kukuha lang tayo ng players kapag a month or 2 months before the start of the tournament na. But, you know, I can definitely understand din naman before that of course, the PBA is a professional league, same as with the NBA. They play year-round. At itong mga FIBA tournaments kasi natin or the FIBA, the different FIBA tournaments, international tournaments na nilalaroan nila, eh, most of the time, these are tournaments that begin pagka at least no dati ganda nga nun off-season. Paano kung within season pa? That's the problem before eh. So, yung calendar ng FIBA adjusted and it's a good thing na nalalaro na siya off-season ng mga liga, no? Or ng NBA normally. Talaga naman dun din siguro in-adjust yung pattern dahil for some leagues, they do play, no? Out of the FIBA calendar din. So, yun yung kagandahan ng calendar ngayon. But then, pagka sa NBA kasi, that's just the start of their free agency nga, no? And they finish their calendar by June. Ang finals is mostly June of the year. At FIBA games or FIBA tournaments start by August, September, November. Sometimes, yun nga, start of the off-season na or start of the season na pre-season na ng NBA yan. Same goes with PBA, no? With the PBA. Dito sa Pilipinas, we play our calendar. Actually, bumabangga pa nga yan sa FIBA tournaments eh. Because before, ang calendar natin, it starts October or November. Tapos, 3 tournaments yan. And we end up having the last tournament sometime July or June din, no? And yun nga, that's the reason why a lot of the tournaments before that Philippines or Philippine basketball plays, no? We just pick the best players. Definitely in the PBA din naman, that's where the best players are, no? Before, this is way before the Gilas program started. So, that's been the format, no? Kukuha ka lang na player once matapos na yung season. Plus complications pa yan because, again, like I mentioned, politics plays a factor in that. Wherein some teams, no, for some reason, there are players that are not or can't, no, they cannot, hindi naman sa not willing, but can't play for the calendar due to various reasons yan. Injuries come into play, then family obligations, a lot of things, no? Especially vacation or vacation mode na yung iba dyan na players after the season, you would want to rest up your body for the upcoming season as well. Kasi yun yung profession nila eh. Of course, we understand that, no? But that's a big problem when it comes to the PBA. Sa NBA, okay yan. Because these players in the NBA, these are the top athletes, no? Top basketball players. They're one of the best. And so when you form a team na made up of NBA players, you only need maybe about 2 months of training camp with them, solid 2 months that we're together, and they can understand the plays quickly, no? Yun din yung gusto kong mangyari sa PBA sana or sa Philippine basketball sana. But again, you know, politics comes in, and that affects the selection and the quality of play, no? And for the last couple of years, well, going back muna, no, yun nga, na-create yung FIBA or create natin yung Gilas program back in 2011 so that we wouldn't have that same issue. Kasi that was done before, no, back in the 1980s, Northern Cement consolidation. Uh, I'm not sure if that was the correct team, but NCC team kasi yan, no, was formed before, like college players picked out of their after their college careers to play for the national team. Kayo-kayo lang yung magkakasama na sila lang yung magkakasama. They're not gonna turn pro yet. And they're gonna form the team so that for the purpose of international tournaments. That's what they did. Magandang program yan. They did that. They started it in 2011. Picked out these great college players na nag-form nga ng Gilas 1. And it was pretty successful from what I think, no? When they started the program. Kasi started the program, they finished fourth out of the FIBA Asia tournament back in 2011, wherein before that, 29 or 2009, we actually, I think, finished seventh or ninth in the tournament, no? And yung fourth place finish pa natin noon, I think was supposedly third place pa nga yan, but we just lost out sa Korea. And we'll get into that, no, a little later. So I think the Gilas program started off on a great note. And then 2012, 2013, the next tournament came in, na-scrape yun. That's the problem, no? Natanggal yun. These guys turned pro. And then what happened is balik tayo dun sa program na we pick out PBA players, to formulate to form the Gilas program or the national team. Now, it wasn't bad or hindi naman masama, no, na nangyari yon because in 2013 when we hosted the FIBA Asia Championships here in Manila, which was a qualifier for the World Cup nga, the 3 spots, no, that are available, we won. We actually, we didn't win, of course, but we placed second, no, a big improvement from the fourth place finish. So come to think of it, the Gilas program was on the rise, no? Angat naman yung trajectory ng program eh. Tapos after that, no, in the World Cup pa, we continued with the program. Was still the PBA players that represented the team, no, or that built up the team. They almost won against powerhouse teams in the World Cup 2014, they just fell short. We had the element of surprise back then because that was the first time that we qualified again after 48 years, mind you. So, after that debacle, no, after winning one game in the World Cup, maganda yung trajectory noong Gilas program eh. But after that, in 2015, back to normal eh. Back to the old ways, no? So, scrape ulit yung mga players. Bagong players ulit ang kinuha natin. Change din tayo ng coaching. Coach Tab took the team and took over the team and coached it, no? Somehow, we still were able to maintain that second place finish, no? We ended up second place in 2015 in Changsha. So that particular program was successful. Again, like I said, upward trajectory yung forma ng team natin eh. But then after that, no, 2017, FIBA Asia Cup, we fell off. Yan kasi yung change na nung calendar ni FIBA wherein instead of a World Cup qualifier, Asian Cup na siya. The FIBA Asia Championships was changed to an Asian Cup for the first time in 2017. Tapos, they moved the World Cup instead of 2018, 2019 na siya. Adjustments were made. Yun nga. No, what happened was that we fell off in 2017. Now, we were looking forward to 2019 because again we qualified for that World Cup, no? Yung build up kasi noon, the calendar was changed. Qualifier games were played and we did, no? We successfully qualified again for the World Cup for the second straight time in qualification. So that's a big feat. And we were sending out professional players still, no? I guess it's not a bad thing, no, that we did that. But the problem is that after we knew or after we won or after we qualified for the World Cup for the second straight time, a lot of things happened, no? Especially yung game against Australia here in Manila. The brawl that happened, a lot of people were or a lot of players were suspended, coaches were suspended, or Coach Chot resigned, and that turned the program, no? Parang dun nag-start bumagsak yung program, no? Yung art bumaba yung trajectory, yung pababa yung naging direksyon ng program natin na yun, no? After that, we played in the World Cup. We placed 32nd out of the 32nd teams, no? Out of that World Cup spot. Again, it was due to the lack of training, the lack of practice, teams continuously changing. And after that, parang nag-reset na naman ulit eh ng program, no? So, parang never-ending ang program ng Gilas kasi sa ginagawa nilang resets. And then, come 2019, 2020, nagkaroon na nga ng pandemic. And, of course, that halted the whole world naman, no? It was the whole world that got affected with that particular pandemic. Wala naman tayong control dyan. But then the program, we had hope, eh. Especially that we were able to win the hosting rights, as one of the hosts for the next World Cup, which is this year nga. So that started a build-up of the young players that we were formulating. We actually had, or Coach Chot had before, yung 23 for 23. Yung pool ng 23 young players that we were looking into before. Tapos, we had that Coach Tab took over the reins, no, para sa Philippine team nga before after Coach Chot left, no, with that brawl. Then we had hope that these young guys that Coach Tab was coaching, at first we were not sure, no, that they can compete or that they could be at par, no, with world level competition. But we saw them playing in the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament, and these guys were playing against professionals, and they were competing. They were not just pushed over by these professional players, much older players than them. Tapos they had cohesion eh. So that's what set off a lot of the Filipino basketball fans, I think, na when Coach Tab left, And when he was removed, replaced by Coach Chot, well, he wasn't replaced actually. Coach Tab stepped down, and then Coach Chot took over again the Gilas program. Parang the people were clamoring na for Coach Tab to come back because he had a system. Coach Tab's system was different. Wherein if you plug in, yun nga, he plugged in young players kasi, no? And these young players were able to go toe to toe with professional players like Jokic, Marjanovic, no? Big guys, professional guys that they saw them play against these professionals and were able to compete kasi. So that's when these young guys naman started to bolt, no? For greener pasture. A lot of the exodus started then, wherein a lot of our young players moved overseas and they got to play professional overseas, no? Maraming offers ang dumating for these young guys who, you definitely can't blame them because this is what you're supposed to do if you get an opportunity to play overseas for much more money than what you would get here if you're a professional. I mean, who wouldn't want to jump onto that, no? Yung opportunity na yun. And it's as a basketball player, once in a lifetime kasi yan eh. I mean, you have a certain amount of years that you play yung peak mo nga, no? Yan yung kinukuha kasi, no? Na point dyan wherein you can only play as much years as possible, and definitely you would want to have that maximized. So a lot of players moved overseas, reset na naman yung ating program. So now we're here in the build up, and yung mga qualifiers natin, we were able to see a lot of the combination players or a lot of the players that we were able to pull out dun sa qualifying tournaments for the World Cup, no? We took that, since we were already qualified, we took that as training ground na lang din for us to check kung sino yung pwede, kung sino yung pwedeng islot, kung sino yung pwedeng ilaro or isama. And we were also able to get to play with Jordan Clarkson to find out and to see, if he's really fit with our system. That's, very confusing kasi din talaga for Filipino fans, no? It's always an up and down. So right now, again, we're trending up sa ating trajectory, no? Sa Gilas Pilipinas. We don't know for sure. Hopefully, yung pinaka-peak ng pag-trend up ng Gilas natin ngayon is not the World Cup talaga, wherein we can win a couple of games. Realistically, I think we can. I am hopeful, no? Because I'm one of those diehard, or again, I'm a basketball sicko nga. That's why I have this affinity, no, sa national team, wherein I'm hoping that we can, and I think we can compete against Dominican Republic and Angola, and we can win those two games, no? Sa Italy, for sure, no? I'm not seeing us, being able to win that out. Medyo malakas talaga yung Italy. But you never know, no? We don't know for sure yet. Unless we see it this coming August, no? Hopefully we win. I want us to win all of those games, no? So that we can move on to the next round of the tournament, plus so that we can become the best team in Asia out of that tournament to get that spot in the Olympic basketball tournament as well in 2024 sa Paris, no? As that is also a ticket as the best Asian team to qualify. Hiwalay din dyan, I think, yung sa Oceania nyo ng Australia and New Zealand. So definitely, you're looking at teams like Japan, uh, China, and Iran. No, these are the guys that, or these are the teams that will be competing against coming this August for that spot. I mean, but for the group phase, I'm hoping that that's gonna be their peak. No, yung trajectory natin medyo paangat na ulit. There have been bumps along the road, but yeah, that's hopefully the trajectory that we're going towards. No, at mag-peak tayo in time for the World Cup, so that we get to win a couple of games in front of the home crowd, and be able to compete in the world stage. So, and right now, again, they're going to be playing in Lithuania for a trip. They're going to go to that and play 4 games. Hopefully, they get to build more chemistry and be more cohesive as a team. And we hope and that this Gilas squad continues to win games. And that is it for our Gilas Pilipinas segment. Off to the next one. We got later on, or a little bit later on, we got some more NBA offseason and free agency updates. Stick around for that. You are still tuned in to the Basketball Sessions podcast, and this is our NBA segment, our offseason and free agency updates. And for our off-season updates, currently, as of recording, ano pa lang we're still around 2 days left before the free agency period starts for the NBA. And a lot of interesting players have already made news, and a couple of them, Draymond Green, Chris Middleton, Kyle Kuzma, and Fred Van Vliet these are one of the best free agents that are available and have opted out. Actually, these are the players that all opted out of their player options in their contract to enter the unrestricted free agency period, or free agency, and be an unrestricted free agent. I mean, so for Draymond Green, I think he just did this because he's up there in his age. Medyo matanda na rin si Draymond, and he is asking for a longer contract, no, as basically reward for his loyalty for the team. He spent all his 11 years with uh, Golden State, played there as the heart and soul of the Golden State Warriors team. So he's looking to cash in on that. And there have been speculations and news that he wants to at least have 100 million worth of contract. He declined his 27.6 million player option. Now, for Chris Middleton's news, he was the one who declined, or he declined his 40.4, I think, around 40 million player option. But basically, a lot of news says that he's just going to be coming back to Milwaukee for a longer contract. These guys are definitely just mostly these guys are coming back to their teams, no? Hindi naman siya yung parang lilipat pa sila ng ibang team because Milwaukee's a championship contender and they don't want to lose out on Chris Middleton, especially now that the new CBA will be kicking in, and there are a lot of harsh yung mga contracts kasi, no? there are a lot of harsh penalty when it comes to teams that are going to be going over the cap or salary cap limits, and teams that are under the luxury tax. Um, it's going to be a harsher penalty, mas marami, mas malaki yung babayaran, and also they're saying that teams now with the new or under the new CBA is only going to be allowed to have at least two max players. No, this is to prevent nga yung mga super teams na naman forming, and it's going to be kicking in this year. So a lot of these players are opting out just to get a longer contract. Now for Fred Van Vliet and Kyle Kuzma is a lot different than Middleton and Green's case. Again, these are just some of the notable free agents or players that have entered unrestricted free agency, as they all opted out of their player options to enter that uh, to become an unrestricted free agent. See, Fred Van Vliet declined his 20 million contract for Toronto and opted to go to be a free agent. Si Kyle Kuzma naman, his 13 million amount is yun nga, yun yung dinecline niya, no? So they're looking to cash in. And I think Fred, si Fred, maraming market sa kanya, no? A lot of teams can use him. Maraming ang balita that he can be switched over to Miami kung gusto talaga ng Miami. Ang problema kasi, Fred VanVleet is not, that superstar level of a player na would, would garner or would be equivalent to max contract. Would you give Fred VanVleet 30 million as his contract, no? As one of the best players in your team. I mean, he at best he could be like third player for you or the third option sa team, no? But a lot of teams can use him, and I think for the right price, he would be signing on the team that would give them much money. Si Kyle Kuzma naman, for his part, no, as Washington is rebuilding, he reportedly wanted to get at least 20 million, no, per year as contract, no, for his new contract. And a lot of teams, I think, can use Kyle Kuzma as an additional scorer. He's a good scorer, good shooter, then produced well while he was in Washington. But certainly a lot of teams can offer a lot of money for these guys, especially Houston. Houston is the top team with the most money that can offer. Their cap room is at 65 million. They're playing a lot of young guys kasi under contract sa kanila. That's why they have a lot of cap room in their team, and they need to use that by the start of the season, as that is part of the CBA rules as well, no, yung collective bargaining agreement, that they would need to be or that they would need to use that cap room for this season. So definitely watch out for Houston. They're going to be very active in the free agency market come Saturday Manila, because that's July 1st, no, Friday. No, that's Sunday, Manila, bale. July 1st is the start of the free agency period para sa NBA. Now, recent reports, we got John Collins being traded from Atlanta. He's now going to Utah playing for the Jazz. He was traded for Rudy Gay in a second round pick. John Collins has been in the trade rumors ever since, no? Medyo matagal na. And finally, he got traded out of Atlanta. Now, this is one of the things, no, that is starting to come up, as this particular trade is definitely a salary dump trade, as John Collins is owed around 75 million for the next 3 years. and Atlanta wants to like remove that off of their salary cap. They will be paying DeJounte Murray, may mga extensions pa sila, plus si Okongwu, si Dick Bay. So, and of course, John Collins or Collins has been out of their rotation, with their team the past season, no? Yung last few games nila, hindi naman na siya nagagamit. So, possibly a restart for John Collins's career. And yun nga, tama naman, no? When you're a player that has been rumored to be always on the trading block, no, year after year, you lose confidence. You start to lose confidence, and John Collins is a good player, no? Okay naman na player yan. He produces well, and you can use him. I actually wanted him to be signed by the Spurs. If he's going to be perfect for that team as a fourth option or third option, no, sa team ng Spurs. But the Spurs already have Jeremy Sohan and a lot of young guys to pair with Victor Wembanyama. So he's going to go to the Utah Jazz, who still has a lot of work to do and a lot of off-season movements that they'll be doing, as yun nga, Jordan Clarkson is one of their free agents that they need to talk to and finish up with that. So speaking of which, recently we got news of Naz Reid returning to Minnesota for 42 million contract, 3 years, 42 million. So that's a very cheap contract. They got him back. Plus Nikola Vucevic recently returning to the Chicago Bulls for his 3-year deal, $60 million contract. So those are recent news, off-season movements, free agency updates. We'll have more of that this coming week or next week, no? Mostly next episode na yan. We'll have more with the off-season already kicking in next week, so stick around for that. And on that note, that is it for this session of the pod. Please join us again next week or next episode for another news and another updates, fans perspective. Please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Basketball Sessions Podcast and like the Facebook page. Thank you to everyone who has continually supported. Thanks everybody for joining me today, and hopefully we get to share the show so that a lot of people can subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Thank you everybody. Thank you, Lord God, and peace.